Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Now this is my first video of 2023. The last one I put up was I think just before Christmas, and due to certain health issues I've been having over these last few months, I've simply not been able to get out as much as I'd like to do to create content for you all to watch. But during this period I've been going through, I've had friends and family saying that, Martin, you must keep your interest in photography and keep going. And they said to me, why don't you get back creating silver gelatin prints in the darkroom? Now it's something that I've been thinking of doing over this last year, but I've never really pushed myself to do it. I've been quite happy with taking pictures with my film cameras, developing the negatives and doing high resolution scans, and it's a great way of creating prints that way, creating pictures. I really enjoy it, but I've that many negatives, and I've got negatives going back years, that I can't keep, scanning those again and again, but I can do them on the enlarger in the wet darkroom, so it gives me something to do and keeps me occupied. Now I think this was meant to be, because it's a few weeks ago, a good friend of mine, David, last year he bought a complete darkroom setup, and he had a go at it, but for whatever reasons it wasn't for him, and he got in touch with me and he said, Martin, would you be willing to swap one of your cameras, he had a camera in mind, for this darkroom gear that I bought. So I did some quick measurements to see if I could fit this enlarger in the darkroom, etc., and decided the camera that I did love this camera. It was a Fuji GA645ZI. I'd taken some lovely pictures with it, but I don't use it all the time, and I thought, yeah, I'll do that. So no money was exchanged, which was good, and I ended up with his darkroom gear that he bought from the second-hand darkroom company. I'd recommend them if you need any darkroom gear. They have all sorts of second-hand enlargers, lenses, easels, everything to do with the darkroom. So that's the second-hand darkroom company. Just Google the name, it'll come up. So David fetched the equipment over, and I'll show you that now and show you what was included in the darkroom gear that he gave me. And then what I'm going to do in this video is, keep in mind I've not been in the wet darkroom for nearly 25 years. I'm going to show you how I make the second print. I've already done one print, and that's it. I don't know if you can see, it's on glossy paper. This is not my choice of paper, it's a paper that David bought a box and he never used it, so I tend to prefer pearl. But that's the first picture I've done. I've got another picture. It's this one. As you can see, this was in a video that I did last year, and this was printed on Kozo paper. It's really nice, a picture of the rose, and I want to try and see if I can do that in the wet darkroom and make a silver gelatin print. And I'm going to split grade this to see if I can get the best tones out of the image. So this is either going to be a disaster or it's going to work, I don't know. That print was easy. It was a straight print on grade 3, a little bit of burning in. So that's what this video is about, showing you me doing my second darkroom print in round about 25 years. Right, I'll show you the equipment that I got first, and then we'll get on with making this print. Now this is the enlarger that I got from David. It's the Kaiser System V VCP 7000. I think Kaiser still make darkroom enlargers, so it's good to know that they are out there and you can buy them new. Not this particular model, but I'm sure they still do new ones. This particular enlarger doesn't have a colour head. It doesn't just have a condenser head. It's what they call a multigrade head. In other words, if I use multigrade paper, Ilford multigrade paper, I can dial in the filtration in it's stepless really, from 0 right up to number 5 grade. So that's very, very handy, and it makes it really easy to use if you're doing split grading, which I'm going to do in this video. Now the enlarger itself will allow me to use 35mm negatives up to 6x7. The enlarger carrier is this one. Now, since I got this from David, I bought these glass inserts to keep the negatives dead flat. So I've got to get those clean. And for that, I bought this anti-static cloth. It's made by Ilford, and you wipe it over the glass and it stops dust settling on it, and also wiping the negatives. This one has mass movable masks. You can just see them moving in and out, so I can even use 35mm and mask off the edges. It's also got registration pins for different types of negatives. So that's a really nice carrier. It does have a filter holder carrier for above the lens if I were using multigrade filters, and if I had them below I'd have to buy the set that fits, that goes underneath the lens, but because I've got this multigrade head I don't need those, so that's saved me some money. The actual red light on this, it's not a swing one like on a lot of Durst enlargers I used to have. It's built in there, you just move that little lever. That one there. The lens on this is a Roden stock, I think it's a Radagon 80mm enlarging lens. That's great for negatives up to 6x7. And I've also purchased this as an extra. Didn't come with the kit that David gave me. It's a Nikkor 50mm enlarging lens. It's a lovely lens that. It's one that I used to use years ago, so, and I picked that up for £40 off eBay, which and it's in mint condition, so it was a great buy that. I'll have a look, show you some of the other stuff now, get a little bit closer. So it came with this easel, good for a decent size print. I won't go bigger than that. I bought an anti-static cloth, it's an Ilford one. This is for wiping the glass carrier and the negatives. It keeps dust away from them. Got the old blow brush, etc. This is a Durst timer. It works perfectly. It switches the timer, the enlarger on and off, and then you can set it to times. It's counting down there. This timer actually counts down in tenths of a second, right down to from 10 seconds to 1 second, and then it's in full seconds, which is it's about right, because when you're going below longer than 10, 1 second intervals are okay. So that's it regarding the enlarger, and then just take a look at the trays. So as you can see on the left hand side here, I've got the Nova tempering unit. That's something that I've had for a long time. That didn't come with the enlarger, but I've got 3 trays for 10x8 prints. Below the enlarger down at the bottom here, I've got 3 trays for 16x12 inch prints. I probably won't be printing any bigger than that. And then you can see that the enlarger is fitted into this nice compact space, and you don't need that much room to set up a wet darkroom area. So I'm really pleased how it's all fitted in. Now, one of the things you must do when you're first setting up a darkroom is make sure that the area that you're working in is light tight. Any daylight that's coming in will fog your paper and it will fog your film, and we don't want that to happen. So you've got to take precautions. You can see behind me I have a large window, but with that I've used blackout curtains, and that's stopping light coming through. And around the edges of the door I've sealed them with foam, so when the door shuts tightly no light can get through the edges. The actual curtains that are up there, David actually gave them to me as well in the swap, and just by chance they've actually fitted that window, so I'm really pleased about that. To test whether your darkroom is light tight, there's 2 ways that you can do it. One is to turn all the lights off in the room and sit in the room for at least 20 minutes to half an hour. After that time, if there's any light coming in, you will see it. Your eyes are so sensitive, they will see that light. Or you can put some paper onto your darkroom easel where you're working, put a coin over the top of it, and then just leave it there for again a good half hour, and then develop that sheet of paper. And then if you see where that coin has been, that area will be pure white, but the area around it will have a slight tone to it, and that that's telling you that you've got light coming in, and it's slightly fogging the paper. So make sure that the area that you're working in is light tight. I sat in this room for half an hour and I couldn't see any light coming in, so I'm quite happy that I can open boxes of paper, and I can even work with film, load my dark slides without doing it in a changing bag. Right, I'll move on now. I'll show you the chemicals that I'm going to be using, the dilutions, and also the idea of the print that what I want from it, and the size and why I'm printing it at that particular size. Right, for those that are not sure what to use when you're using Ilford multigrade paper, the developer I'm going to use is Ilford Multigrade Developer. I'll dilute that to 1:9. The stop bath is Ilford Ilfa Stop. Dilute that 1:19. And the fixer that I'm going to use is Ilford Rapid Fix. Now I can dilute that 1:4 or 1:9. I'll probably use 1:9. I can get more prints out of that bottle, and you just got to extend your fixing time using that dilution. So they're the chemicals. The paper that I'm using is this that came with the swap. It's Ilford Multigrade Deluxe, a really nice paper actually, and this is the glossy version. Although in my darkroom years when I used to work in the darkroom, I always preferred the satin or the pearl finish rather than the full gloss. I won't keen on the glossy papers, but for certain subjects they work great. It's just that sheen can be a little bit distracting. I'm going to print the pictures. I mean, I can do, I can do big prints, all determined by how far I can go up with the larger head. But big prints need big areas to store them in. You can't hang them all on a wall. So I bought these quite a number of years ago. They're little photographic albums. Got these nice white pages. I have a few of these, and I'm going to print my pictures so they fit within this album. So that picture, I'd cut the white border off, would fit into that album, and it just keeps them safe and secure. And if you show people the pictures, they're not actually handling the prints. If they're in a box, you just get them out and they get handled, finger marks on them, etc. In a book, it's just a safer way of keeping them, and I can use these albums up. Right, we'll get on now and see if I've never videoed in under red light, so I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I'll show you how I'm going to do this split graded print on the Ilford Multigrade glossy paper, and it's the picture of the rose. It's this one again. I'll just remind you that I did through the inkjet printer on the Kozo paper. That will give the negative a wipe down with this anti-static cloth. Get the negative carry out. Good flow off, and bob the negative in. That's the negative in the carrier. That looks fine. Bob it into the enlarger. Lock it down, and then it's lights out, and we'll see what it's like under the light of the red safe light. Right, the first thing I need to do is open the lens wide open, make sure the red safety mask is out of the way, and virtually compose the picture on the easel. Now this was taken with a 6x9, but obviously the enlarger won't give me the full 6x9, so I'm going to crop it to fit in that book, and I've decided the size to be 6 1/4 by 7.5 inches. So I'll turn the enlarger on, and then I can see clearly the picture of the rose there, and then depending how much I have to play with on the negative, I can recompose it to this size on the easel. Now that looks about right, so that's fine. So the next thing is to put some paper in here, focus it and then do the test strip. Right, the first thing is to get some paper out, do a test strip. I've got some strips cut here. I can't see half of this. Put that away safely. Place that under the easel. And then pull the red safety filter over so it's not going to fog the film. Turn it on. And then once again just check that composition. And I want the test strip to run from the white area of the flowers, they're actually a pale yellow in reality, in colour, down to these darker petals. It's quite a contrasted print. It looks simple but it's not easy to develop, because to get the blacks I want I have to print with a harder grade of paper. If I use the harder grade of paper I'd lose those lovely qualities in this petal itself, the nuances of the white textures in it. So I've got to get that right. So what I think I'm going to do in that case is make an exposure using a grade 0 filtration, and then just determine the correct exposure for the actual white area on the flowers. So turn the enlarger off, move that lever to bring the filters into play, and I'm on, see which I'm on, grade 1, sorry, grade 0, I'm on grade 0 now. And then do the test strip. I'll do it in 3-second intervals. Just turn it on again just to check the enlarger f-stop. I'm going to do it at f11. That's not a bad aperture to use. Turn it off, then do the test. So the first exposure I'm going to do for 3 seconds. Just make sure that I've got it set for 3 seconds. It's set for 10, so I'm just in the timer for 3-second intervals. So that's 3-second intervals. Turn the enlarger off and we're ready to go then. Just double check everything. Keeping in mind I haven't done this for 25 years. Right, do the first exposure at 3 seconds. F11. It's always important to keep notes when you're doing this. That's the first exposure. Do the next one at 3 seconds. So that means the first one has now had 6. Move it across to the next one. And then do the last one just at 3 seconds. So I've done 4 exposures. Now put them in the developing tray and see what exposure for the actual flower head itself. So place it in the tray, that test strip. Got a clock on the wall. I'll give it 2 minutes in the developer. Right, take that out. Into the stop. And then into the fixer. I won't fix it for its full time. And wash this test strip and see what it's like. Then we can get a good idea where we want to be with our filtration and exposures. So this is the test strip. Now I've wrote on the test strip the times and the grade of paper I've used. It's always important to keep notes. When I've done the final print I'll put them in a notepad so I can repeat the process to get the print nearly the same again. So the test strip is showing that the first exposure, although it was 3 seconds, but I doubled up every time I went down, so that ended up at 12 seconds, which is too dark. This one at 9 seconds is not far off, but a little bit dark. I want the flower to remain white with a little bit of detail. The next one was 6 seconds and the last one was 3. That's obviously too light. So I'm looking round about 6 seconds, because I know when the print fully dries, we'll call dry down, it'll go a little bit darker. So I'm going to do another test strip right down including the whole of the flower and the stem, and then just to assess the whites in this, and then what filter we're going to use to get it black and how I'm going to split grade it. So we'll do that next. The actual doing of test prints is so important. It might seem wasteful, but you have to do it. If you try and skimp on the testing, you'll end up wasting more paper. So testing is very important. I'll turn the enlarger on, place the paper on the flower and then running down the stem. I've got most of the flower in there. Turn that off, move the safe filter, and then increase the time to 6 seconds. 6 seconds there, and then do the test. Right, develop that, and we'll have a look at what that looks like. Right, this is the second test strip. An overall exposure, F11, 6 seconds with a grade 0. And looking at the petals, I think it's just about right. We've got these nice soft, delicate shadows. I can see texture within the rose itself, but the background's just not dark enough, and the actual rose needs that little bit more contrast. So this is where split grading comes in. This could be a tricky subject. Without that, we probably have to do a lot of dodging and burning, because we've got this white flower against this dark background. So what I'm going to do is split grade. I'm going to do 3 seconds with a grade 0, and then try 3 seconds with a grade 5, and just see how that affects the blacks and how it affects the actual rose itself. So I'll do that test now. So I'll move the red filter out of the way, turn the enlarger on, grade 0, that's great. Take out another piece of paper, there we have it there, and then turn the enlarger back on. I can't expose it because the red filter's in the way. And then this time I'm going to give, set the time to 3 seconds, turn it off, move the red filter, 3 seconds, F11, and then this time change the filtration to grade 5. You probably can't see this. It's grade 5, turn it off, move the red filter, and then 3 seconds at grade 5. Develop that, put it in the development tray, and we'll see how that comes up. And we'll look at the test strip and then do the final print, hopefully, from this test strip. So we can see on the third test print that the 3 second exposure at grade 0 and 3 second exposure at grade 5, how it's altered the print. If we first of all look at the actual rose itself, keep in mind it wasn't a pure white rose, it was a yellow rose. But we can see from this one that we've got that increase in contrast. It just looks about right because we've got these, still got retained these delicate shadows, and we've got this textural quality within the rose. The density of the blacks, because we used the grade 5, has increased, and it's just about right is that. The only thing is this stem, I think I'll just dodge that during the grade 5 exposure for about, I don't know, a second and a half, and hopefully that will give us a really nice looking print. So the final exposure is 3 seconds with a grade 0, 3 seconds with a grade 5 at F11 on Ilford Multigrade Deluxe Glossy paper, and with a slight dodge on the stem itself. So do that and hopefully I'll get a nice print. Right, final print. Get a full sheet of paper out. Making darkroom prints is not a fast process. It's quite slow. but if you rush it you will end up wasting paper. These papers etc. aren't getting any cheaper, so take your time, be deliberate in what you're doing etc. That's the full sheet out. Place it under the easel. And then what I'm going to do is just turn the enlarger on and just check the actual the focus, see if we're still focused on that grain. Yeah, that's spot on, so that's great. Turn the enlarger off. Right, do the I'm on grade 0. Check that, yeah. And remove the red filter and then do a 3-second exposure, and that's at F11. And then now I'm going to change the paper grade. Red filter, see where I'm going. So I'm just going to now move the filtration to grade 5. There we go. Now 3 seconds at grade 5. Right, I'm on grade 5. Move that red filter out of the way, and then this time I'm just going to dodge that area where the stem was, and I'm going to do that during this 3-second exposure. So I'm a little bit higher there with that. So I've done that, and then just one more final exposure. I'm going to use my hand for this. Turn the enlarger on, just see where we're going, just to darken the edges of the print a little bit. So I'll leave the enlarger on for this. Doesn't need much at all, and then this corner here. That's it. So that's the final exposure, and we'll get it in the tray and see what comes up. And pop it into the tray. See what we get. The second print in 25 years. Bear it all the way around that. That's just in the fix, I can show you it now. And it's looking really, really nice. Fixing time's nearly up, so I'll wash the print and we'll have a look at it. So I'll just wash this print vigorously. I've got a thermostatically controlled tap here, so I can wash it at the optimum temperature. Keep changing the water. It's a resin coated paper, so it doesn't need that long to wash it. If it was a fibre based paper, it would need a lot longer. So just keep washing it like this, and then I'll add a couple of drops of wetting agent and then hang it up to dry, and we can have a look at the print. So after all that work in the darkroom, I've ended up with a picture. Started off with this first test to determine the exposure. The next test strip was to look at the grade 0 filters to see what it did with the actual rose itself, and then the grade 5 to determine the blacks and the little bit more contrast in the flower, and it seems to have worked very well. I'm very pleased with it. Pictures like this using just single grades of papers are not easy to get just right. You know, we've got this very bright flower against this dark background, but using split grade and using multigrade paper has made it a lot easier, so I'm very pleased. Just all I've got to do now is cut this and put this picture in the album that I showed you previously. Darkroom work is real fun. I've forgotten how good it is really. This is my second darkroom print I've done in 25 years, and I must admit I've really enjoyed it. And you know, as I said before, it's a bit, when you've done it and gone back to it, it's a bit like riding a bike, you never forget. So I'm really pleased. And you know, if you've never tried darkroom work, try it, it's worth a go. Darkroom equipment's pretty cheap at the moment. It could go up in price as you know, as people get more interested in working this way. I don't know, but at least you know you're not going to lose money if you buy the equipment and try it. If you don't like it, just pass it on, sell it. You might even make a profit. But it's not for everybody. I mean, I've invested a lot of money in scanners, etc., and I will continue to scan my negatives, develop my negatives and scan them, and then print them on the inkjet printer, because I love the way they print on the matte papers. I only print on matte papers, and I love the way the inkjet reproduces them on these really quality fine art papers. The darkroom prints are different. This is on a glossy paper. I prefer the more semi-matte papers. I'm going to give the warm tone pearl a try. When I worked in the darkroom, as I say, 25 years ago, I nearly always printed on the pearl. But I must admit, these papers have improved since this multigrade paper has improved since I did it. It is thicker and it's got a lot, just it seems a better quality than the old multigrade I used to use. So all in all, I'm a happy bunny. So I just thought I'd share this with you guys. As I say, I'm not going to stop doing my scanning, etc. I will still do that, but I'm going to build this into my workflow. If I've got any negatives that I think I want to print in the darkroom, I've got that option to do that now, and it just keeps this whole mind going. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, a like, better still, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, and as I always say, stay safe, and I will see you all in the next video.